All right, so we are in our second week of our Redesign Doesn't Happen in a Vacuum series, or as I've said, Redesign Has Tentacles. And what we're going to talk about this week is the role of buy-in, because it's not a phrase that everybody likes. It's not necessarily accurate of what always happens, because it's not like when a redesign is successful and moving that everybody is completely supportive of everything that's going on. That would be lovely. That does not typically happen. So what I'm talking about is the idea of getting people on board with even having a redesign and then keeping them on board as you go. So this idea of buy-in is an ongoing process. You have to have it initially to even get the project started. And sometimes that might seem like that's the biggest obstacle to overcome, just even getting started. And it can be sometimes, but there's often places where, you have a grant or you have some kind of mandate and it's like, okay, we know we have to get started. That doesn't mean things necessarily happen though. So buy-in is something that's really critical. And this is often an issue that is internal to the most affected stakeholders, which in the situation I'm talking about are often math faculty. So having them a part of the process is absolutely critical. This is something I am extremely passionate about because I know it works. I know when you have faculty in the mix and you deal with skepticism, concerns, and you address them, you can have a tremendous change in whatever you're trying to do, and it will continue and it can work. That's the problem. If we try to do changes without faculty, they tend not to last, or they tend not to work, or both. And we're not doing this because we don't have anything better to do. If we're making a change in a course or a policy or whatever, we're doing it because we want to make the change, get something working, and we want it to continue. We don't feel like doing this every time the wind blows. So one of the key things to keep in mind is if you haven't been looking at where is my stakeholder buy-in and thinking, oh, we have a mandate, or oh, the president said it, or a state group said it, that is not enough. So the tough conversations have to be had with the people most affected. And they're not always going to go well, and people are not always going to be on board with things. But I've led a lot of these conversations, and the main thing that I know is if you are respectful, and if we work from a place of we're not always going to agree, but we're going to be respectful and we're going to move forward, because ultimately we all have the same goal. We just don't necessarily all see it happening in the same way. Is it possible to find a solution we can all live with? Yes. It doesn't mean we're all going to be like doing cartwheels about it. I've never been a part of a redesign where I was like, yes, I loved every single aspect. Never. That does not happen. But could I live with it? Yes, and that's different. And so we all have to be willing to do that. Administration, faculty, staff, anybody that is affected has to go in with this idea of, can you bend and can you live with things? So this is all under the auspices of buy-in. So it's something to keep in mind when you're working on redesign. It is not a one and done. It is something that happens before you start, and you need to continue to monitor it all the way through if you want to have a successful redesign that lasts. Hope to see you next week.